waiting to be chosen and to have the career they want to have. Really, I mean, if you want to be an entertainer, you go on TikTok, you go on Instagram. There's so many ways to create content. You don't have to wait to be chosen. You just get out there and do it. I love seeing like granny types doing dancing, back from like the 50s or 60s, and they're on TikTok. It's entertaining.
That's amazing. Stephanie, so nice to meet you. Thank you so much for making the time to come and have this conversation.
Thank you for inviting me.
I was just saying before we started recording just how inspiring I found the work that you're doing, and I can't wait to ask you a whole lot of questions about it. So I know you must be so busy. So, thank you again for making the time to do this.
Thank you. I love being here.
I appreciate it. Well, I might just start by asking, just so our audience can get to know you a bit more, would you be able to give a background on yourself and the work you do?
Sure. So I am a movie producer and director, and I also am the founder of Hollywood Expansion Corporation. And I basically have had an entrepreneurial and financial background, and I'm bringing all those talents into one system, HEC, I call it HEC, and helping other people get movies made, get their projects off the ground, find the proper financing, and then match investors with collateralized monetization of films, so it's a safer, less risky type of financing. So yeah, that's what I'm working on now.
Yeah, amazing. Well, I don't know where to begin with all of that. It's like a lot, but what made you initially get into the entertainment world? How did you go down that path?
Well, as I was younger, I spent a lot of time on my own, and my imagination was really like my best friend. And it just grew over time to how I could entertain myself through my imagination, and I would write and make music, do fun stuff. I actually did chemistry stuff and made makeup, just all these crazy things when I was younger, and loved to make little sets with my toys, and it just grew into something that I was, loved. I realized I loved being creative. So I also am very good at problem solving. I had to, I think it's from my childhood, really. I have to blame it on my childhood. People are like, oh, it's too bad you spend so much time. My mom was a nurse, but it made me who I am today because I had to figure stuff out. When you're forced to figure things out, it's not always a bad thing. So I found those skills to be very helpful when I'm working on a project. And that has brought value to what I can bring value in a project. So yeah, that's how I get hired. People are like, oh yeah, she can get through anything.
Which I imagine a huge amount of producing, directing is problem solving, like you're saying.
Is. It is. It really is. The majority of it is. And, a lot of when there's a problem on set, obviously you can go into a chaos, mode. I don't know if you've been in that situation before, but,
Sure.
I've had, my God, on my first film that I directed, Holiday Twist, we walked into a location that was supposed to be an office, and it was already supposed to be ready to go. And we walked in, and it was just an empty space of about 3,000 square feet, nothing. And we had people showing up in 2 hours to film and for an office. And people were like, oh my God, we got to cancel. We got to cancel. I'm like, no. We're not canceling. No, we got Sean Astin today. We're not canceling this. Because
Yeah.
pay him and then pay him again to come back. And so I got on Marketplace. I got other people. I picked out different things. I got everyone coordinating Marketplace. We rented U-Hauls. There were like 6 people out with U-Hauls picking up office cubicles, office desks, office chairs, in 4 hours, it looked like an amazing office. And if you watch the film, you'll see Connie's office. It looks pretty fantastic. And,
Wow.
that's problem solving. Those are the things that happen sometimes when you're filming. You're trying to recreate a world, and then the world falls apart before your first shot. So,
You got to really be able to think on your feet and stay composed under turmoil, and these are all skills that are so important in life. Like we have, and I'm going to go and watch that film, by the way. I want to see this office now. I can't wait to have a look. But no, that's so important. I mean, I think a lot of us struggle with that in day-to-day life in the modern world, because life's so chaotic and it's changing every minute. We've got so much information coming in. It's really difficult to stay composed through that. So I think, what you're talking about there, that kind of mindset is what we could all benefit from having a little bit of, I think, in the world we live in.
you just have to believe and not give up, and not let a no or an obstacle prevent you from moving forward. And I feel like producing, it's having a grip on realizing, okay, we can find the next step. We just have to think outside of the box. You know?
Absolutely. Well, another thing that comes to mind with that is, I mean, we all deal with uncertainty in life, and that's a difficult thing for all of us to manage. In the entertainment world, probably even more so. You could be on a huge project even, and then you don't know, what's the next project going to be, what's going to happen. How do you deal with the uncertainty of that through that? How do you navigate that?
Well, I believe in making every day count towards something. So, like right now, we're getting ready to close out Maserati the Brothers, and I'll be working
Oh, wow.
on Bugatti and Bugatti the Genius, which will be the next Andrea Lervolino film. And I'm also working on Grandma Goes to Hollywood and Vincent, which are two films that are my own personal projects, as well as, helping other
Mm.
people through Heck. So when I have the downtime between projects, I really try to harness that time and get into my creative space and write and build my characters out. And that way I'm not like thinking about what's next. I'm thinking about now, the present, and what I have control over.
Mm.
Because you
I
never
think
have
that's so
control.
important.
Yeah, you don't
Mm.
have control over what's next. You know, it could be a year before
Yeah.
the film that I'm supposed to be scheduled for. It could be a year before I'm actually doing something for it. You never know. So in the meantime, I'm doing what I can do now.
I love that. And I think, I've been in the entertainment world a little bit doing, through acting, a little bit of producing, and that's what I've really seen. I think so many creatives, myself included, find it really hard where to have that daily structure or discipline. You're sort of almost waiting a lot of the time, thinking there's going to be a perfect time. Something's going to happen, then it's all going to fall into place.
Yeah.
But it never does. You've got to create that, and it
Yeah.
can be really, really difficult for people to work out, to find that motivation to focus on what they can control rather than constantly thinking about some magical solution that's going to come up. It's a really difficult thing.
I think especially for actors, because
Mm.
actors, that's a part of the industry that it's like you're waiting to be chosen. And that's difficult. I think like of all the jobs, I think about how that's got to be the hardest one. I've
Mm.
been there. I
Mm.
started as an actress, and you're like auditioning, you're putting your best foot forward. You say those affirmations on the way to the audition, whatever your little routine is. And then, you do the audition, and then you're just waiting. You're waiting, 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 waiting. And it's like dating, and the person never asks you on a second date. You're like, why? so, so
Oh
it
my God. I'm getting anxious just reliving it myself.
you
It
know
is so stressful. Yeah.
but I used to use those days to write. So I would
Mm,
write
mm.
my stories out and do outlines and think about things. And it's like, well, you know what? It wasn't meant to be. I'm not the one.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah. And I would get
Um,
chosen for the weirdest things too when I was an actor, and I'm thinking, why did they call me in for this? Like, and the whole acting thing it's very, unique, like I started having a panic attack one time. I got called in for a Tyler Perry movie, and it was for a mail,
mm,
uh, no, not a, was it? Yeah, post office clerk, and it went postal. And I walked in, and everyone was African American. I was the only white person in the room. And I'm like, did I come to the wrong audition? Like, he called me for this role, and I think I'm in the wrong place. Like, I felt like, oh my God, like I've made a mistake somehow. I don't think he really wants me here. And so I went in and I did the audition, and I thought, I almost wanted to say, are you sure you want to audition me? Like, I think I'm at the wrong place. And, I did the audition with that in the back of my mind. And he was so gracious and so sweet. And I do think he wanted me there to maybe
mm.
use some ideas, or I don't know. I didn't get the part. But when I walked in, everybody looked at me like, what are you doing here? You know,
Yeah.
you've got all these things going on in the back of your mind when you're going to an audition, you know.
It's really, yeah, exactly. At the best of times, you've got all these things going on in your head, let alone when there's other, external things happening to tell you that something doesn't feel right. It's really, really tough. And I mean, I don't know, like I found it really difficult when any periods where acting was my main focus, my anxiety was so through the roof,
Yeah.
and I just stopped enjoying it. And I found that I actually started performing better when I did it in addition to, trying to focus on things that I can control in my career, because it just become, being in that helpless place where your whole self-worth, your identity, your career is all based on hoping to be given permission to do something.
Hoping.
It's
Yeah.
so tough. And I think yeah, I think mental health issues, like I mean, a statistic I had read were, I think they're 3 to 5 times higher in the entertainment industry, which I think
Uh,
would make sense, for how difficult it can be for actors and performers.
yes, I agree. I mean, it's a stressful field, and then it's a field that's often unsupported by loved ones
Mm,
as well, because they don't want to see their loved ones go through that process of waiting to be chosen and to have the career they want to have. And that's what I love about the new the new world of entertainment. It's like, really, I mean, if you want to be an entertainer, you go on TikTok, you go on Instagram, you come up, there's so many ways to create content. You don't have to wait to be chosen. You just get out there and do it. I love seeing like granny types doing dancing, back from like the 50s or 60s, and they're on TikTok. It's entertaining,
it's amazing. It is. I mean, that's what I love about being able to do this. You don't need permission to do it. You can create your own show. It's like,
That's right.
great. It
Yeah,
makes the world so much easier.
yeah, yeah. Who needs to wait?
Exactly. I think it's, you can't be waiting. And I think that goes back to, what you said at the very beginning about you've just got to be looking at what can I control? What can I control? What can I control? And again, that applies for everything, not just this industry, for life. We get so caught up in getting in our heads and thinking about all the things that could go wrong and what we could do differently and what could happen, rather than just looking at it in that really simple framework of, okay, that's all well and good, but what can I actually control right now? That's all I need to really think about.
Yeah, that's right. The present.
Just simplifies it. So how do you keep yourself grounded? Because I can imagine, like you're saying, there's so many things going on. You've got like a lot of things you're juggling, I'm guessing. How do you stay grounded within that? If you're feeling stuck, you're not alone. Most people don't realize how connected your mental health is to your body, from your gut to your sleep, movement, food, mindset. Getting active each day can shift how you feel, build confidence, and transform your quality of life. At Move Your Mind, we guide you through this process step by step. If this resonates and you want to learn more, simply go to my Instagram at Nick Brax and click the link on the bio to fill out an application, and I'll send you over more information about the program. Thank you so much for supporting this podcast. If you find the show helpful, please share it with a friend and follow me on Instagram. It really helps.
So I like to have a routine, and I feel like even when I was directing my film, I had to really structure, and it was something I had to learn. The first week I was filming, I let everybody else kind of control my time and my schedule, and then I felt very, I actually lost my voice, and I couldn't communicate with people after day 5. And
Mm.
my friend got me a dog clicker so that I could click the dog clicker so people would know when I was trying to talk to them. And, that happens to me sometimes when I'm under severe stress and lack of sleep. So I realized when you're in a day-to-day environment that's going to require, 16 hours of your time per day, you can't give up your routine. That's the only way you can stay grounded. You need that me time, that special time where you connect with yourself and with God or whoever, you choose to believe in, or whatever,
Mm.
if
Mm.
it's the universe, if it's, your spirit guides or whatever. But, for me, I had to have that time in the morning. And then when I would break for lunch every day, I would, instead of, sitting and chatting, and I would go by myself and just rest, rest and think about, you know, things that I was grateful for that happened throughout the day, and, ask for guidance to help me get through, these problems. And, those types of things help me stay grounded. Whenever I don't force that into my schedule, things get a little chaotic. It
Mm.
seems like my days are more hectic. I'm scrambling. Things don't work out. They don't stay in the flow. So for me, I have to prioritize myself, I guess is what I'm saying, and my commitment to faith and believing that things are going to be okay. And then, sometimes I call my mom.
Yeah.
Mom, how are you? Just hearing her voice, or I'll call my kids, or whenever I'm feeling unsteady, I reach out to people that I care about and love, and it seems to bring me back to a familiar space that will help me stay grounded. Yeah.
Yeah, that's well, I think really, really great advice in there. All of those different things you're talking about so important because we can feel like we can push through, and sometimes we can for a while, but eventually you're going to crash, burn out. Like we can't be sustainable with anything we're doing unless we eventually do make those rigid sort of systems around what we're doing, because it's just like we're only human. We can only handle so much.
Exactly, exactly. And my production manager, would she would, after a while, she really understood my need to have quiet time where no one was talking to me, and just I called it
Mm.
my rest and relax.
Yeah.
The word I made up for. I like to make up words. So, she would really like guard my space. Like, no, she's not available. No, you
Mm.
can't talk to her.
Mm.
And we worked well that way together. She understood after a while that, okay, she's a nicer person and a better person when she has that rest.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense. We need to remind ourselves that. So, are you able to tell me a little bit more about the Hollywood Expansion Corporation, about what you're doing with that?
Yeah. So, when I was directing Holiday Twist, I realized there was so many opinions from so many different people. And, it's kind of like the wild, wild west back, when you're everyone is just trying to figure it out, like what the best strategy is, how to get the financing, how to get the cast before you get the financing, the chicken or the egg.
Mm.
Just a lot of different methods and different ways people get content made. And I thought, gosh, it seems like there should be an easier way to do all this, and that developed my insight into creating a system that would work for people that were going to put money up for films and people that are creating films, and the technical side, the creative side, all, collaborating together instead of, fighting against,
Mm.
there's in every company there, which a movie is like a company. A movie is
Mm.
starting a business. And that's what people don't realize. It's every movie, you're starting completely over from scratch. And, you've got to get your paperwork in order, your infrastructure, your legal, your funding. It's,
Yeah.
you may as well be opening a McDonald's. It's the same thing. And I think a lot of creatives don't realize that, or they're not
Mm.
prepared for it. Maybe they realize it, but they just don't know the proper steps to make it work. And then it becomes overwhelming, and then they give up, so
Yeah. Yeah.
I developed this system of it's just creating, it's just something that worked for me when I finished off my film. I did it a little bit differently than the way other people told me I needed to do it. I did it my way, and then it worked. And so I am going to implement that in all the future projects. And anytime I can help with another project, I do the same thing. And I've done that with Maserati the Brothers, where Heck has become in affiliation with that production. And we work with investors to monetize pre-sale agreements, and we monetize movie assets, and
Mm.
it's been great, and I love it. You know,
Incredible.
yeah.
And so that no, that's so amazing because yeah, it really is. And I've had, I was saying to you again before we started recording, I've been trying to get a TV series put together, and you don't really realize how much goes into it till you start looking at it and trying to do it. And it is such it can be really overwhelming,
Yeah.
and you're flying blind, and there's so many different things to do. It's a lot to take on. So how does it work if people wanted to be able to use your system, or how does that work if someone wanted to tap into that?
So basically, they would submit their project or their script or, whatever their ideas are. We don't really look at anything without a script. We have
Yep.
otherwise there's really no chain of title. We do help
Mm.
with the script. We guide people along the process. It's basically multiple people holding the hand of the creator to get them to the next level. And we're developing a software system right now that actually will help the producers that guide the people along the way. We have a lot of product placement that we use to monetize projects. We try
Mm.
to put creativity to work in, how can this person get financing to get off the ground? Everybody needs financing to get off the ground, and that's usually the hardest money to bring in because it's the most risky, so we teach people how to do that. It's basically we're just advisors, really. We're advisors. And then, if we love the project, we may want to use it for our own streaming platform, which is being created now.
Oh
So,
wow! Oh my God, you've got a lot of different things that you're doing. Wow,
yeah.
you're making me feel like I need to do more. I'm not doing enough here. There's, that's what I honestly, and this is like, I think it's a common thing. I automatically, like, you go into, oh, I need to do more shit. It's that comparison thing. But no, I'm just saying it's impressive.
That's how
It's
you
very
lift
impressive.
everybody up together.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. But so impressive and so needed because, like you're saying, it's that chicken and egg thing a lot of the time with, okay, how do I get funding for a project if I don't have names attached? The names are probably only going to attach if I've got funding or I've got something tangible. So you can often just get stuck. And I'm sure so many projects never see the light of day because they sit there like that. Yeah.
I spent a year trying to get people attached to my film. A year.
Wow.
That was
Yeah,
so,
it's
and
crazy.
you know what? It was COVID. So I
Yeah.
have to say, not many people wanted to work during COVID. I think my film, looking back on my first project, it was like everyone around me kept saying, everything that could have happened to anyone has happened to you during this film. Are you sure you want to do this again? And I'm like, I feel like these things have happened to me for a reason. Like, it's so bizarre how much went wrong that it was like an opportunity to have knowledge and experience with each and everything that could have ever gone wrong. Like, I mean, it was mind blowing. People on the set, people around me, my family, they're like, my kids are like, Mom, give it up. Like, what are you doing?
Mm. Mm.
And it's like, no, no, no. I'm learning. I'm learning. And I just try to keep thinking of it as a learning experience. And all of that ended up bringing me to heck, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Exactly. And I mean, it's at the time it can feel so overwhelming, but I guess it's the best learning and you can apply it. And I love the quote, life only makes sense backwards, but must be lived forwards, because often we don't understand what it means until later on. Now you can look at it and be like, thank God that all happened, but you
Yeah.
wouldn't know at the time.
I love that quote. You're going to have to send that to me so I can remember that. Yeah.
I will, yeah, definitely. I think John Lennon said it or someone else, but
Oh,
yeah, I think about it all the time because it's sort of so many things happen every day where we're like, oh my God. And then later on we look back and okay, that makes sense now, but in the moment we get so caught up in it.
exactly, exactly. And that's why I have to have those resets because I have to make sense. Like with my film, I had to go in reset mode, every time I had the chance just to
Mm.
make sense of it all and keep myself calm, you know.
Yeah, makes perfect sense. So what are the main projects you've got going at the moment?
So Grandma Goes to Hollywood is in development right now, and that's something I'm really excited about. That's one of the projects I've written. I have a project, Maserati the Brothers, which I'm finishing up with, and that is an Andrea Lorvalino project.
Mm.
And he's done a lot of different car films, and he mostly, biopic type films. And I've really, really enjoyed working with that team. I've learned a lot. The
Mm.
level of experience and collaboration, and it's just like a well-oiled machine. And I'm learning a lot going through the different day-to-day things with them. And Bugatti the Genius is coming around the corner, and that's exciting. We're just now going out to people for casting for that. And one of my favorite projects actually is I've not titled the film yet. It's called Vincent, and
Mm.
it's a it's a project that's dear to me, and I don't really want to talk about it too much yet. But I'm working on that at the current time, and I think we're going to be filming some scenes for that by the end of the year. And it's taken place over two different periods of time, so we're going to kind of break it up and manage it a little differently than most films. And I'm also working on a great dog story called Ethan Almighty, and it's about a dog that was severely abused. And I'm a huge, huge dog lover, so
Mm.
this is dear to my heart. And it's not I didn't write it, and I'm not directing it. There's a different writer and director, but I'm fully supporting it and working to do whatever I can to help make that a success right now. There's,
Amazing.
yeah.
So you've got enough going on, I think it's safe to say.
I love being busy. I really love, and busy's not the right word. I love being productive. You know,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel like a sloth if I don't have a full day. Like I don't
Yeah.
even know what it would be like to just sit around and watch TV all day or sleep all day or like I couldn't do it. I don't think I could do it.
Yeah, you go crazy. It's like, it's a good problem to have. If you're feeling stuck, we get it. Most people don't realize how connected your mind is to your body. Sleep, gut health, food, exercise, it all matters. At Move Your Mind, we help you lose weight, build confidence, and reset your mindset in just 100 days. There's no extremes and no experience needed. We guide you to build simple habits and routines that will last for a lifetime. If this resonates and you want to learn more, simply go to my Instagram at Nick Brax and click the link on the bio to fill out an application, and I'll send you over more information about the program. Thank you so much for supporting the podcast. If you have any suggestions for new topics or guests, please send me a DM on Instagram at Nick Brax. So the Maserati film, I've heard about that. That's a huge film to be part of.
It is. It's been exciting. It's going to have a global release, theatrical, and almost all of the territories are already sold, and it's
Wow.
not finished being edited. The test screenings have been so positive. People are comparing it to like The Godfather, and it's the set design is astounding. I hope they win an award for set.
Hmm.
The team is just incredible. Danielle is responsible for amazing locations, and she's been working with Andrea for many, many years, and it's just a beautiful project to be a part of. And it's not without problems and chaos either, even though
Yeah.
it's a big budget and there's always something that has to be dealt with.
And I guess that's another learning for, anyone listening, that no matter what level you're at with whatever you're doing in life, like I think we often think, oh, when I finally get to this level, it'll be stress free, things will be okay. But every single thing always comes with ups and downs and stress, and things go wrong. And,
Yeah,
so you got to, I think the more we can be sort of just accepting that in life,
yeah,
then we
yeah.
can embrace what's in front of us rather than looking to get to the next step all the time.
That's right. I mean, we were on set one day in Rome, and it's a race car movie, right? Maseratis, started uh, in racing,
Mm.
and the cars wouldn't work, and
Oh.
they they were supposed to cross the finish line, and they were inoperable, and it's like, what the heck? So the scene had to be completely improvised, then. It
Yeah.
wasn't a good look for the racing industry to not have a car that worked. But it was an old car.
Any
It was an old car.
right. Okay, that makes sense. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. What what would you say to any creatives out there, or actually anyone listening that's, they've heard your story here, if they're just feeling, completely stuck, they're overwhelmed, they've got all these dreams and goals and aspirations, but they don't know where to go, what to do, they just feel completely helpless and hopeless. What would you say to anyone listening that's in that sort of mindset at the moment?
I would say get quiet. Get
Hmm.
quiet and do nothing. Listen to yourself. Get that into your daily life. I think when we let everything go and and become one with the present, life gets a little easier, and um, count on what you can count on. We can count on the air we can breathe, right? We can count on water coming out of the faucet, maybe a hot shower. Enjoy those little things that you can count on, and get quiet and just let your journey unfold without pushing too hard. I think sometimes when we push for the way we think it should be, we don't see how easy it could be. That would be my advice.
I think that's brilliant advice. And it sounds simple, but it's so hard to do. Especially we live in such a noisy world. And the natural thing is when you're stressed and feeling like that, let's jump on ChatGPT, find some answers. Let's do this. Let's look at this.
Right.
But it's so true. It's counterintuitive. But what we do need to do, because we feel like, okay, we've got a problem to solve. We can't. How can I relax?
Yeah.
But we need to. And you can't think creatively when you're in chaos, and you can't find those solutions. So it's really difficult to do. But I think, yeah, really, really important advice that you've given there.
And what I feel like, because I feel that way. Everyone does. We're
Mm.
all humans, and I mean, I just recently moved, and there were some hours of time. I was literally one day managing 9 movers coming into the home where I'm moving into, and managing 5 that were loading in LA at the same time. And I was on a press call with Leah and
Oh my
trying to
God.
talk about stuff, that wasn't about moving. And, it was like, I
Multitasking.
can't believe I'm doing this. And then, I felt so stressed out after that call. I felt like just breaking down crying. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to laugh about this one day. I can't even literally remember what I said in the interview. I don't even know if it made sense. I'm like, yeah, the dining room is to the right. And I think you should just get really quiet. And, like, it's just such a dichotomy because I was in the middle of chaos trying to do this and talk, logically and authentically. And I was so stressed out. But afterwards, I just thought, it is what it is. If I made a
Mm.
fool of myself, it's just the way it goes. It was meant to be. you know,
Exactly.
I thought we were talking to someone in Glendale, California. Come find out it was Arizona. Somehow in the move it escaped me. I'm human. I'm human. I don't know.
Exactly. We're all human. We're all human. It's so true though. We just, and I think we take life too seriously sometimes. We can put so much pressure on ourselves and take it so seriously and miss the point, And again, in the industry you're in, I see a lot of people that went into it because it was something joyful, as you were describing, but then
Mhm.
eventually they start resenting it because they just are putting so much pressure. So what's the point of even doing it if you can't enjoy the process, like do
Right.
something else.
And you just gotta laugh about things sometimes. And, you can't take yourself too seriously and be too hard on yourself because
Yeah.
that's the kiss of death with anything. When you goof up an audition or make a bad choice with production or even in any job, you just
Mm.
have to give yourself grace, forgive yourself, and apologize if it's necessary and own up. Okay, gosh, I really messed that up. I'm sorry. And that's hard for people to say sometimes, I think, is, if they it's kind of unrelated, but I was just thinking out loud, like in this industry, people, they want to be right. A lot of times, they want their choice to be the right choice, the creative choice that wins everything. And sometimes, you have to back off of something you think is great because maybe it's really not. Maybe someone else has something better that can help enhance what you have in your mind. And you've got to not be willing to um, see only through your eyes, because
Totally.
when in entertainment, it's through the audience's eyes. And you've got to first decide who's my audience, and sometimes it's hard for people to back down and see it in a way that makes sense to everyone, you know?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so important. It's so important that we take note of that because we want to be right. And I think just being able to be be self-deprecating with things as well if you've made a mistake. Not see it. I think whenever you own up to something, people respond better actually. To go, things go better. But we often our ego might be saying, well, no, I'm going to be seen as less authoritative or less of a leader or not, not as valuable. But it's actually the opposite.
Yeah. I had a situation, one of the parameters and guidelines of my Christmas movie is that every scene I wanted it to look like Christmas. That was the design theme.
Mm.
And it had to be in certain colors because I had a color theme in mind that I had framed it and outlined it for the colors to travel seamlessly throughout the film. And that was really important to me. And a couple times, when we would arrive to the set, the color themes were not as I had expected them to be. There were no Christmas trees. There was no sign of Christmas. It looked like spring, you know. And people would say, "Oh, but it's California. Like people don't really decorate for Christmas." And it's like, you know what? The audience is going to be all over the world, and they decorate for,
Exactly.
and maybe you
Mm.
don't decorate for Christmas, but a lot of people love to decorate for Christmas. It gives them something to do as a family. And, those are the types of people that will watch the movie. People that don't care about Christmas, they're not going to care about the movie, and that's okay. But the people that will watch the movie, they want it to look like Christmas.
Totally.
And
Totally.
sometimes, like in the early part of finding my voice in directing, I would have a hard time really being implementive of, is that a word? Implementive? Maybe I just made that up. But
We'll go with it.
it was hard for me to really stand strong on what I needed as a creative vision. And I'm a big, huge collaborator. Like I'm all about collaborating. But in collaboration, the most important thing is not that you win the ego battle over whose idea is best, but it's like the movie is a child, and what would you do best for that child or that dog? What's in the
Mm.
best interest of that dog, that baby? The movie is the baby, and you've got to back down when it's not in the best interest of the baby, and you got to stand strong when it is in the best interest of the baby. And that was something I learned directing. And, my next film, I won't have to learn it because I learned it the hard way, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that really is brilliant advice as well for anyone listening because we can get so emotionally attached to, our own businesses, our own projects, whatever it is. It's very, very hard to pull yourself out and look at it as, no, this is its own entity. It's not
Yeah,
about me, it's about the project. And
exactly.
sometimes we need other, opinions to be able to see it that way. It can be really difficult.
Yeah.
Super important. Well, Stephanie, I think I could talk to you for another 2 hours, so I'm gonna
Sure, I love
wrap.
talking to you.
It's been great. I love learning about you. I think you're offering so much value here. I know our listeners are going to take a huge amount out of this. We finish up every episode with 5 closing questions.
Okay.
So these are sort of a bit random, but we'll see what comes up for you.
Okay.
So the first one is, what's your best childhood memory that comes to mind for you?
Oh man, I would have to say picking pecans and blackberries. I really I spent a lot of time in the fields behind my home in Louisiana, and my mom and I would go and pick fruit that grew naturally and pecans that would fall off the trees, and those were some of my most favorite times because we were just, I don't know, we weren't really doing anything but enjoying each other and going on that mission of gathering stuff. And it was fun.
It's so nice. Yeah, it's so nice. Just the simple things. It's so
Yeah.
important. I love that. And I was listening to some podcast the other day where the guy was talking about how back in hunter gatherer times we were so much happier in general because you're in that flow state where you don't have that many tasks every day. It's like you're going to go out and gather food, and while you're doing that, you're not thinking about other things. That's all you're trying to achieve. So you go into this like flow state, and we need to incorporate more of that into our life because we just, if we don't
Yeah.
make time for it, we don't do it. So it's, yeah, it's a nice example. Thank you for sharing it. Okay,
It's kind
second
of a weird
question.
thing, but it just came to my mind because I always
I love
think,
it. No, I love it. Like, I mean, that's why I love that question because you sort of don't know what will come to mind, and it's like it reminds me. Oh, these are so. It makes me think about all these things that I've done with my family, and just like, oh, I need to do more of that. Because you can get so caught up in life. So
yeah,
yeah, it's nice to hear. All right, second question. What do you think is currently the biggest burden on mental health in society?
pressure. I think pressure. I feel like there's so much pressure to know yourself at a young age. I think it's extremely unhealthy to expect to ever fully know yourself because that's part of your journey is to learn yourself and to master yourself. And it takes time and many years and many experiences. And I feel like now with social media and with everyone's opinions and and how you identify and what's required for you to be successful in the mind of other people, it's just a lot of pressure. And
It really
I
is.
I feel like that's our biggest problem as a society that we need to overcome.
If you feel like you've lost control of your health physically or mentally, Move Your Mind is here to help you. We guide you through weight loss, lifestyle change, and resetting your mindset without any extremes or overwhelm. If this resonates and you want to learn more, simply go to my Instagram at Nick Brax and click the link on the bio to fill out an application, and I'll send you over more information about the program. Thank you for supporting the podcast. If you find this show helpful, please share it with a friend and follow me on Instagram. It really helps.
Yeah.
Oh, massively. I just get stressed thinking about it. It's just, and I do it to myself. I think we all do it, and we need to be aware of it. And, like you're saying, there's no end point. We never stop growing. We never stop sort of, there's no end answer. It's just about focusing on your own journey because there's no perfect way to go about everything. But it's, that pressure it's a big problem. It scares me, the sort of, the kids that are growing up in this generation, like just the level of pressure that comes with that. It's really hard to navigate.
I think about sometimes I like to read up on the end of life stories because I think it's
Mm.
fascinating. They have such a wise perspective compared to, when you're younger. And, you know, they still, on taking the dying breath, can have a perspective shift on,
Mm.
on anything, you know, and yeah.
It's so powerful. No, it's like it just reminded me. There's an Australian author, Bronnie Ware, and she worked in palliative care, and she wrote a book about the five regrets of the dying. After I don't know how many she encountered, but I think the one main regret that they had was, I wish that I was just true to myself. I wish that I just did what I wanted to do, backed myself. Didn't do what I people thought I should do, didn't what I do what I felt like was the right thing to do, did what I knew that in my gut that I needed to do. And I think so many, it's sad, so many of us are living not like having this voice screaming at us like, no, this is what I want to do, and we push it down.
Yeah, exactly. Pressure. Yeah.
Pressure comes back to it. It really does. Yeah. Well, next one. What's your personal definition of happiness?
Um, Gosh, my personal definition of happiness. I feel like it's when you feel connected. For me, that's when I feel connected, I find myself the happiest. And that is connected with myself and with something greater. Um, and I feel like, you know, when I feel light, I know I'm happy. And that's usually when I'm
Mm.
being authentic to myself and authentic as a person. That brings me joy and that makes me happy. So,
I love that answer. I love that, and that I think we all know that feeling, the lightness. So that when you're going down the wrong path, everything's heavy and just it's difficult. So yeah, love that
I mean,
answer.
I could be vacuuming and feel happy if I'm feeling like joy and authentic, you know. I could be hiking or at the gym or, doing just everyday stuff. And, you know, um, I I feel like happiness is so unique and individual to everyone too. And everyone just has to find that happy, what makes you happy. And sometimes you got to think about it. Like, when have I got to think back and reflect? When have I been the happiest in my life? And think about what you were personally doing. It probably wasn't that you were in Cabo or, you know,
Yeah,
at the bar drinking or whatever. Whatever, that maybe you had a good time, yes, but were you happy?
100%. And sorry to keep going on tangents on these. I just
It's
like
okay.
my own example of that recently has been I've had too many conflicting things going on, and I was trying to build this business while trying to do the podcast, and I've got the stuff in the entertainment world, and I was thinking, well, I'm overwhelmed, and what do I actually enjoy doing? Because I was just feeling like I wasn't enjoying anything anymore. And then when I looked at it, it became so clear. It's like I love doing this. I love doing the producing stuff, and when you tap into that, then you can just simplify everything, and you can feel it, like you're saying. It's like, oh, okay, it doesn't feel heavy anymore. It feels a
Yeah,
lot more simple.
that's right. That's right.
Yeah, so important. Well, two more here. If you could give one piece of advice to your 18-year-old self, what would that be?
Gosh, it would be listen to myself and follow what I think is important instead of letting everyone else around me make all my decisions. By far, that would be my advice. When I look back at my life, even like my first time I was married, I didn't make that decision. And
Mm.
what a stupid big choice to make that wasn't really my decision. Can I say it was a mistake? No, because I try not to believe in real like mistakes. You know, it was, yes, it was a mistake, but it was a good mistake because some good things did come out of it. But I I know that if I would have listened to myself, I wouldn't have done it. I would have maybe done a different path and that would have led me to something else. You know, I ended up being where I wanted to be now anyway, but yeah, I mean, when you're young, you're just so vulnerable to letting everyone, you're conditioned to let everyone else make all of your decisions, and you you should use them as guidance, advice that is guidance, but still know your own heart.
100%. Well, I think, yeah, that's for anyone at that age, that advice is what would, yeah, be so beneficial to anyone. It's so, so important. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it really is. Final one. What are you most proud of?
Oh, what am I most proud of? Gosh. Um, hmm, I don't know. I mean, I feel like I haven't done everything I want to do yet in life. And I guess I'm most proud that I still want to accomplish things, because I know a lot of people at my age, I am 60, and a lot of people my age are like, oh, well, I've done everything I can do, you know? And I know that's something that people that know me are like, I can't believe you still really want to do blah, blah, blah. And so I'm kind of proud of that. Like, I'm excited. I feel like life is just so far from being over. And I want to be in better shape. And I want to be, my kids are grown up and now I have grandchildren, but I'm always like, I want to be a better mom. I want to be a better producer, a better director, a better, I don't know, I really like self-improvement. And I guess if I had to say I was proud of something, I would say that I'm proud that I still want that for me
Mm.
because I want to be better for myself so I can be better for everyone else around me too. And that
I
makes
love
me
that. Well, yeah. No, it's a great way to end, and you look incredible for 60, by the way. I'm
thank you.
I'm shocked that when you said that, I thought, wow. And I think your energy as well, and what you're doing, it's like, and it really shows as well. Age just doesn't matter. Like I just talk to you, and I'm like, I'm just
Yeah,
feeling your energy about things and the inspiration. It just there's too much garbage in the world about you have to be this by this age, you can't do this at this age, like. And that's where I get stressed off. So, I'll talk to you, and I'm like, well, actually, that's how I think as well. Like, why do we need a time frame? We can do anything we want at any age. It's so inspiring, and we need
yeah,
more people, like you, getting that message out there.
yeah, yeah. And I'm doing it. I want to do it. I want to empower everyone to not give up, follow your dreams and do what you want. And if,
Mm.
whatever it might be, it might be you want to make honey out of, start a beehive. And I have a friend that just did that. He brought me the
Why
best
not?
of honey I ever had.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you for sharing everything. It's been so valuable. Final thing, where can our listeners go if they want to learn more about you, the work you're doing? Where can we send them?
Wow. You know what? I mean, I just usually, I don't know, interviews. I don't promote myself. It's hard for me to do that. But, I do talks when people ask me to, and I guess just follow my Instagram,
Okay.
because I usually announce stuff on my Instagram, and it's Stephanie Garvin 1, and I let people know what's happening in my life and what projects I'm working on, and when I'm casting for something, I'll put it in my stories. And then we also started a Heck Instagram now, and we're going to keep all of our casting updates on that social media platform and our website, Hollywood Expansion Corporation. We're doing all of our updates now. We're just starting to get into it though.
Great. Oh, so we'll have all of the links for the Instagram, the websites, etc. We'll have that in the show notes. So make sure to check those out. And Stephanie, thank you again for making the time. I
Thank
love
you.
everything you're doing.
Oh, thank you. I love this podcast. Thank you for inviting me.
And thank you for listening. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the episode and any suggestions for topics you'd like to hear about. Feel free to leave a comment or just send a DM. Your feedback is always appreciated. Please don't forget to click the subscribe button, leave a like or comment, share with your friends, and follow me on Instagram. It really makes a difference. Thank you so much.